We're just going to talk a little bit about the hangi and what it's about and when it was used, and we're going to have a little look inside, and we're going to see if the kai's cooked. So we're basically we're just going to start with the term hangi. It means an earth oven. So basically it's food or kai that's been cooked in the earth. So what we've got over the back here is Jono's pointing at it now, is a genuine 100% authentic traditional Maori hangi. Okay. So what we've done is we've dug a hole in the earth, and on top of it we've stacked a whole lot of manuka wood. On top of the wood we've got a whole lot of volcanic rocks and river stones, and they're piled up. And what would happen is in the day the pile would be set alight. The manuka would heat the rocks up, white hot, red hot, and when the manuka burned away, the rocks would fall into the pit. And that would form the basis of the heating for the earth oven. So what would happen then is some green leaves would be placed on top of the hot rocks, and then a kite or a basket full of kai or food would be placed on top of the hot rocks, and then it would be covered with some more green leaves, and then it would be covered with the earth. So it would be left for 2, 3, 4 hours depending on the size of the group that you were feeding, or how much kai you had in the hangi pit. So you could be feeding a small family group. It could be 2, 3 or 4 people, half a dozen people, or it could be a larger family group. It could be 2, 3, 400 people. So on the marae, basically, when the Maoris gathered together, everyone would get together on the marae. It could be for a celebration. It could be tangi, which is a funeral, or it could be just getting everyone together to do some mahi or some work. And so everyone would be fed with the hangi. So that's what we're doing here today. So that's a traditional Maori hangi over there. This one here, this is a modern day traditional Maori hangi. Okay, it's exactly the same as that one over there. So what I've had is a big pile of rocks that I've been heating up over here, and another big pile of rocks over there. And I've been heating them up white hot, red hot. Not with your traditional fire, but with the world famous Ngāpuhi fire sticks. They've been heating them up white hot, red hot. Not with the normal fire, but with the Maui gas. So it's known worldwide as in America it's known as a propane. Worldwide it's known as LPG. So we heat them up white hot, red hot, and it took about 3 hours. And then we've turned the gas off, we've lifted the rocks into the pit, and we've put on top of it a basket, same size as this one. It's got all of our meats. It's got our pork, our lamb and our chicken. It's also got our root vegetables, our kumara, which is a sweet potato. We've got our potato, and we've got our pumpkin. And there's stuffing in there as well. So that was put in about 2 hours ago. So it's in there now, it's cooking. To replace the leaves, we've got a whole lot of wet sacks we put on the top to provide the moisture, and that's our modern day hangi. Okay, so it's been cooking for about 2 hours now. So what I'm looking for some muscles to help me lift the hangi out of the pit. Have we got a visitor? Have we got a visitor who wants to step forward? A volunteer, another volunteer. Maybe someone who's not a chief? Anyone? One of the boys, eh? He's going to step forward. We're looking for some muscles. Who's coming forward? I have to lift it up.
Get those young guys. Get the young guys.
Very good. Okay, first thing is we'll start with the hongi. So we're going to take his hand and we're going to press noses. Okay, now, first thing I have to point out to you is there's a big hole in the ground here. It's called a hangi pit. Please do not fall into the hangi pit. If you fall into the hangi pit, you get a free invite to tomorrow's hangi. Star of the show. Okay, so please don't fall into the pit. Okay, now over here we've got a selection of hand coverings. So on the left hand side we've got our traditional hand coverings, and on the right hand side we've got some not so traditional. You're using the traditional ones. Of course. You're welcome to choose any ones you want. Okay, very good. Now the hangi today, it's been cooking for about 2 hours. And so it's still cooking now. So there's a lot of heat in there, and there's a lot of steam still. So when we do lift the lid off, we're just going to lift it off and put it onto here. So if you can make it around without falling in, that'd be fantastic.
You're doing it on his own? You've got wide arms.
That's quite a sight. But yeah, so is there any wind? The wind might be blowing. The stand's going to come up and it's going to go somewhere. Who knows? Guys, watch out, you might fog your glasses. Okay. Okay, so we've got a whole lot of wet sacks. These will replace the leaves. So we've got half a dozen of these, so I'm just going to take these off and we'll throw them over there. Well, he made it in here and he's safe.
It's a traditional way he's doing this. I couldn't do it like that.
All the technique,
Jay, the baskets.
Okay. So what we're going to do now, we're going to lift this basket out. We're going to put it onto here. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, we've got a handheld there and a handheld there. Or you're more than welcome to just lift it from the middle. If you've got good balance. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Yep. That's it. Okay, so if you can see inside the pit, you can see the Hangi rocks. Also, what you can see in there, you can see a lot of the hinu, or the fat from the meats. Drops down, hits the rocks, helps infuse the rest of the Hangi with the flavour. So why don't we have a look at it and see what's going on there. Okay, so while we were heating the rocks today, took a walk through the Ngāhere or the forest, and we gathered a whole lot of native fauna to line our basket with. So we've got a beautifully just fallen panga leaf there. And what I've done is I've lined the basket with the native fauna. So underneath we've got mamaka fern, we've got kawakawa, marapo, we've got mangroves around our chickens, we've got kauri leaves, and manuka, and tawa today. So they're the flavours that you're going to taste in your kai today. Apart from salt, there's no other flavourings.
Can we miss the first bit?
Okay, so what we've got here is basically around the outside we've got our chickens. We've got our legs of lamb are under here, as well as our pork sirloins. We've got our kumara, which is our visitor.
More meat.
Healthy visitor. Healthy visitor.
Sterilized visitor.
Yes, healthy visitor. So we've got our kumara, which is a sweet potato. We've got our pumpkin, and we've got our riwai or potato. And our we've also got our pork bellies here.
Look at that clean bed.
So this is going to form the basis of your hakari or your feast for the evening, and the kitchen's put together a whole lot of other fantastic little bits and pieces. They've got a couple of selection of breads, they've got some seafood salad, they've got some green salads, they've got some puddings and a few others. They've got cabbage, there's cabbage, watercress and silver beet. So all together that's your hakari, your feast, and yeah, I hope you guys are all going to enjoy it. Has anyone got any questions on the hangi?
Would this be something how a family would cook their meal, or would it be just for a celebration, or how would a small family have cooked their meal? Or
yeah, small family would use a smaller, it wouldn't take so many rocks.
Okay, so just a smaller version.
Yeah, it would be a smaller hole, not so many rocks, maybe not a basket, maybe just and piling it up with some leaves,
Yeah.
covering it so the dirt wouldn't, and leaving it maybe while they're staying warm.
Yeah.
And
But in the same way, though, it's the
the same principle. But basically, the whānau or the wider family group, everyone would get together and pool the resources and work together. And yeah, so it's a really good way of feeding multitudes of people as well. Yeah. Everyone can get in, get busy.
So would they have farmed the meat, or would that have been
Basically, what you're seeing here is a pre-European
Yeah.
okay? So there was no farming because there was no meat. The only meat was in Aotearoa, pre-European. There was no four-legged mammals on the ground. Yeah, it was all the realm of birds. So there was only forest and there was only birds. Nothing else had arrived because we were so isolated.
and fish?
And Kaimawana was.
Whole?
Sorry?
Would they cook the meat whole?
Yes, in many occasions, big piece, depending on the size of the bird. Mowers were huge, bigger than people.
Would they cook fish like this, or?
Fish in the Hangi, yes, kaimawana and seafood would be cooked together with different other. And yeah, but kaimawana played a big part of the diet as well.
Did they use the same rocks every time, or would they rotate?
Yeah, you basically would. You use the same because when you're using the rocks, basically it takes half a dozen burns before all the moisture leaves the rock. And so you keep them, you look after them. You might leave them in the hole. You just dig them up every time you have to use it. And that's common practice today as well. So the rocks we're using today, they've been used for about, they started at the start of the season, but we've done about 50 hangis so far. So these rocks have been doing the job for about 50. Yeah. So what happens, they dry out, they break down, and it's harder to get the heat around the ones in the bottom. And so I've got to take a bit of time, and I've got to repack my baskets and replace some of them. Some of them are really good. Yeah. So has anyone else got any questions on the hangi?